This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, professional advice. We're not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host or the management. This podcast may contain adult themes, so parental discretion is advised. Our guest today is Wigg Lee, and she's a personal empowerment coach with a passion for transforming lives, especially those of teenage girls, with an expertise in self-defense and a relentless commitment to domestic violence awareness. She's on a mission to equip women and young adults with the tools they need to reclaim their power. Beyond her professional work, she brings a deep personal perspective as a mother who has faced the complex challenges of addiction and mental health with her own child. She is a voice of strength and hope. So welcome, Amy. Welcome, Amy. If you want to expound on your credentials or anything like that, this is the opportunity to do that.
You made me sound really, really good there. I liked
it.
Nothing. You hit it all, I think. So.
All right. Okay. So we've got some questions here for you this evening. So what really motivated you to focus on developing a course specifically for teenage girls, and what skills or mindsets do you aim to impart to them?
I was bullied in high school. My daughter was bullied in high school. I have a niece that was bullied in high school and a granddaughter that's been bullied in high school. So this is a problem that has not stopped generationally. And I really wanted to be able to get to the girls personally, one-to-one, or in the same room, and work with them to see what bullying is and why it's not good on either side. Then to empower them to have some self-love and some self-confidence to do whatever they want to do. And I was the quiet one in the corner, and some would say, who? But I was the quiet one in the corner that just kind of observed, and nobody really took notice of me. And I was just the follower. I never had my own agenda. And when I did decide to have my own agenda and stray, then I lost friends because I didn't follow them. So I really wanted to get to girls these days. They have so many more problems with social media, and the bullying has just gotten just out of hand. And I wanted to get to these girls and impart what I wish I knew when I was in high school, and really help them.
Yeah. As you said, that bullying has reached a stage that you don't have to be in front of the person to bully them. You can just go on using technology, and in a second, person seeing all the different things that, even if it's not true,
right?
And they fabricate things and they put there, but people believe it because that is what people, like, they like the sensationalism and all of that. So bullying is very critical. I'm glad that you're doing that, because a lot of teenagers, a lot of young people have taken their life because of bullying. So it is very, very important that we try to let our children know that, what people say about you, yes, they can say, but that doesn't define who you are.
We've always said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not the case.
That's not true. I agree with you.
The words are deadly sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's 24/7 now with the smartphones and
Mm-hmm.
messaging, texting, and being on social media. So it's something that really needs to be addressed. I know there's a few programs out there that are trying, but like in my daughter's case, they had banners all over the school that said zero tolerance for bullying. But she got in trouble when she retaliated to her bully. And I fought for her and made it better, but when they report it and nothing is done, then the school's fault, and they need to do it. But parents also have to go and say, your daughter is bullying my daughter. And usually it's like, oh, my daughter would never do that. Yes, she will. Don't just discount it, because most bullies are insecure themselves, and they're just trying to get be the center of attention and make somebody else feel bad so that they can feel good and boost themselves up. And once you kind of take the psychology to that and let people who are being bullied know that, and just say, don't give her what she wants, just ignore it. And I know it's hard, but you're going to have strength, your own strength and your own self-love to be able to do it. And that's what I want to impart, as well as dealing with the bully and saying it's not right.
The thing about it, sometimes the children or your child might not tell you that they're being bullied because they don't want you to come to school, and then they say, oh, he snitched, and all of that stuff. So it's very hard. I think it's very hard being a child today. It's very hard.
80s, I want to go back there. I would, as much as I love my smartphone, I'll go back to the 80s anytime and just live. So they have it much harder these days, and I feel sorry for them. And I mean, I have my oldest granddaughter's in college, and I check on her all the time saying, how are you doing? Everything okay? And she more and more, quit bothering me, I'm fine. Is what I get.
You see, they're going to tell you that, but we have a responsibility to not just to listen to what they say, but see any changes that is happening. If they're not eating, if they're not being social, if they're in the room all the time, we need to, we're parents, but we need to be sensitized and pick up some of these cues that these children are leaving when they are being bullied. Sometimes they don't want to go to school. Sometimes they create problems at school because they don't want to go to school. They get out of going to school.
Yeah, I had truancy on speed dial, when my daughter was in 7th and 8th grade, because she just absolutely was not going to go to school. And it turned into a violent confrontation if I tried to make her go to school. But if I called truancy, she'd get in their car and go. And if my mother did it, she'd get in the car and go. It's very, very difficult when the schools don't want to deal with it at the time. But like in my daughter's case, both times she retaliated after school and got in a fight with the person. And then they wanted to suspend both kids. And I said, hey, wait a minute. My daughter was bullied, and nobody would do anything about it. So you can put her in school suspension for fighting, but the other girl needs to be suspended for bullying, because she's the reason she got attacked by my daughter. And every time they agreed with me, and every time she went in school. And so the parents, they need to stick up for their kids as well. They need to be, they need to be very active in their child's life. I knew pretty much what my kids were doing most of the time until they got to be about 15, 16, and then they found all kinds of ways to get around me. But you know, you have to know what they're doing and talk to them and really get some trust with them. Now my daughter that's the daughter that has mental health issues, and we were dealing with that at the same time as all of this. And she's the one that had a drug problem later on because of her demons, as she calls it. So, you know, it's a long-term effect thing. I don't think the bullying was the biggest problem going on for her after school. She had much other bigger problems, but I do know that it affects the kids. And we've had suicides here around me that it was because they were being bullied, and it just breaks my heart.
Yes, a child shouldn't feel that taking their own life is the only thing that can stop all of that, you know.
Yeah.
And then they have all the parents and the other siblings left behind, you know, dealing with this trauma. So, you know, so
Yes.
I'm very glad that you're taking this approach and really trying to help the young people to see that it's not necessary. And as I said before, that what people say don't define who you are. So, you
Yeah.
know, it's just for them to get an understanding of that.
Yeah. When you're an adult, what they think about you doesn't even matter anymore because you're doing your thing somewhere else. So it's just getting them to realize that and really let it sink in, you know, because I remember, you know, the big traumas of my high school, and I thought it was going to be life or death, you know. And in this day and age, it does not matter. It was just a blip in life. So, you know, they need to think long term. You know, they all think they're invincible and they're not. And I think they just need some real life, but nicely.
Yeah.
I'm also in my course that I'm going to teach these girls. We're also going to go over financials, and that they need to save money and have 2 different savings accounts, one for college and one for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, other things that about, and then self-love and confidence and affirmations and what they really need to do to improve their life.
Yes, yes, yes. So how has your experience teaching self-defense to women influenced your advocacy for domestic violence awareness?
I loved it. I wish I was still doing it, but I don't have the money to get all the gear that is needed. It was called Rape Aggression Defense. It was a hands-on defense program, and it was women only. There was not a man. The only men in there were instructors, and all of those instructors were usually police officers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very hands-on. When we were teaching them, we would show them the moves and then they would practice them in the air, but then we would get the pads out and they'd get to hit the pads, and we'd encourage them, hit it hard. It's okay. We know what we're doing. And at the end, the final day, they got to actually get attacked from another instructor from another program in a great big padded suit. They looked like big red Michelin men. And they got to actually hit them and kick them and attack them like they're supposed to. And we saw women who were the mousy, quiet ones. And by the end of the class, but we always saw the smallest, the mousiest one, but you'd see them and they stood taller and they had bigger smiles on their face, and it was all genuine, and they just felt better about themselves because they knew they had the confidence that they could defend themselves if they had to.
So what are some of the misconceptions about self-defense that you encounter, and how do you correct these to ensure that women are truly prepared?
When I taught RAD classes, the one thing that we didn't like, and it's all over, is everyone has mace, pepper spray, all it. And if you are going to use that, then you need to mace yourself so that you know what it's going to be like. Because if you're going to mace somebody, you are close enough to them that they can reach out and grab it and mace you with
it.
And then, and I'll tell you what, I've never been maced, but there was an incident outside of a bar that me and my friends were at a long time ago, and they sprayed mace out, and it was right outside the exit doors. And when we walked through, it was still in the air. And I have contacts, and my eyes were burning, my nose was burning, my face was burning. And you didn't even see it in the air, but it was there. So I can't imagine actually getting sprayed in the face with it. So I discourage pepper spray. I would really encourage a whistle of some kind. A lot of people put it on their keychains so that it's pretty handy when they are walking to their car or whatever, because it makes a lot of noise. It makes people pay attention to you, and it's loud enough that if nobody seems to be around you, but maybe if you're in a parking garage, they're on the next floor or whatever, somebody's probably hear it and come to help. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a attacker that doesn't want any attention, and they're going to take off and run away. So it's just, that's what I encourage. Something that makes a loud noise. You can, whatever, hit your car horn and your alarm, or you could a whistle or something else. But that's what I suggest over anything. And just so people know that there's a lot of RAD classes still out there. A lot of them are taught at colleges, but you usually can enroll in those courses and take them. They're usually pretty cheap. And once you take one, you can go back and practice for life. And that's their guarantee, because they feel like you need to keep up your skills and practice. And even if you take, a class a year, just to keep that knowledge in your head and the muscle memory going.
So how do you, when you're teaching these classes, how do you approach and discuss with survivors of domestic violence who are hesitant to engage in the training? Some of them.
Oh, yes.
How do you navigate that?
We've had survivors in our class, and some of them were a couple of weeks after their attack. And if they get triggered or don't want to deal, we always had a space available that they could go and be alone. And usually it would either be myself, sometimes one of the guys, if that was the only way we could do it, or sometimes we had someone from the sexual assault coalition and deal with them. And I've talked with many, and they get triggered, and I have to just, I said, I understand it. I've been attacked before too. Just remember, this is giving you the tools to defend yourself next time. And if you need to, you can hit those pads hard and take it out. Your anger at your attacker, take it out on those pads. But if you still don't want to do it, we understand, because it's not your fault at all. Somebody did this to you and violated you in the worst way possible. So we have to have empathy. We have to have compassion. At the same time, try and boost their confidence. So it's a fine line.
I think you sort of touched on it a little bit. I was trying to find out from you, how do you stay current with all with the training, the self-defense training? How do you stay current and effective in today's fast-paced with the training?
I have not taught a class since about 2009.
Okay.
I used to take a class a year. When my then husband was still teaching it, and I would go with him and take at least one class a year. And even after we got divorced, I took a couple of classes to keep my practice in. And that's what I like about this program, is that once you take the class and pay for it, and usually that's pretty cheap. We only charge like $25.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get free return whenever you want. It could be every class, it could be 2 classes, it could be 1 class a year, but you have that ability to not pay again and just come back to a class. And that's we sign a book that says that you've taken it and you've paid for it. So even if you move to a different city, you can look up on their website, find a rad class, and you can go and show your book that you've taken it, and they will let you in for free.
Okay. So this empowerment class that you got, the course that you're going to do, what exactly is it going to entail? What's going to be on the horizon for these students?
Like I said, we're going to cover some finances. We're covering self-love, self-care, bullying. I want them to take a look and see what they want to do in the future. What does their life look like? Have you thought about what you want to do? I swear I never wanted to grow up because I couldn't decide on what I wanted to do when I grew up. And then somebody told me I didn't have to after 50, so it was great. But
okay.
But they, I felt like I was just lost at sea because I just really didn't have a passion or anything. I always liked the jobs I had, but when I taught rad classes, it was great. And just the feeling of seeing girls empowered. And I took a class here a year ago at a different facility, and I took that class and seeing those girls, and I was helping them put their equipment on and everything, and I was like, I miss this. I want this. And so I had been playing around with coaching for a long time, and I initially was thinking, well, I was going to do something after divorce, because a lot of women feel lost. Their empty nest syndrome, and now they don't have a husband, and how they're dealing with everything. Then I decided I wanted to take that a step further and be an empowerment coach. A lot of what I'm going to teach the girls will be covered in my adult classes. And the only thing is I will keep them separate. So the girls will have a Facebook group that they can talk to other girls in, and even after the course, and I'll still give resources and affirmations and journal prompts and stuff that they can use. So the women's course, I'm still writing both of them actually, but the women will go a step further about finding out, do you have a career, or have you been a stay-at-home mom, or where are you at in your life, and where do we want you to go? Because I want you to live the best life you can. And if you had dreams and aspirations at 16 that can still be possible, and you still really want that, then let's go for it, because there might not be a tomorrow. So you need to work and go and do and be happy and take care of yourself. And, bucket lists are a good thing, and save up your money. And someday I'm going to sit in the black hole at a Las Vegas Raiders game and people think I'm nuts, but that's a bucket list of mine. So it doesn't matter what it is, travel, experiences. We'll look up the resources, find out what it's going to take to get you there, and then set up the goals and milestones we need to get you there. All at the same time, we're going to look at journal prompts, how you feel about yourself, finances, again, and a self-care, and boost their confidence as well, because a lot of women who are going to come to me are not going to have very much confidence. So like I said, the adults, I'll go probably a step further, because we'll have to talk about relationships and sex or whatever, and I probably won't do that with the teenage girls. So the teen girls will probably be a mini course of what the adults get.
In regard to divorced women, I think that what you're doing is very good, because a lot of women, a lot of them give up their career to rear their children, and when they get divorced, some of them don't have any career, because if you've been out of it for the last 10 years, technology has changed as we speak.
Yeah.
So, things.
That's why I advocate for women, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, volunteer. I don't care if it's for your church, if it's for the school, if it's for another organization. Volunteer, and after you're used to working with the group, go to their leadership. Be the president of the group at some point. Work your way up to that. And because you're going to have marketable skills by doing that. So even though you're not in a job, you can use that, what you learn as a volunteer leader, and put that on your resume. And I know many women that have done that and gotten great jobs from it.
Yeah, I agree with you, because at least you'll be keeping up with current technology. You'll be aware of what is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Also, touching on the financial part of it, a lot of the stay-at-home moms, that a lot of them don't have any account for themselves. Everything is in the husband, and then when they have the divorce, there's a problem there. They don't have any pension. They don't have any. They're left with basically nothing. So
when I was unemployed, and he got mad at me for something that he shouldn't have even had a right to be mad at me for. And he said, "That's it. You're done. You're out of the house." And he said, "Have a good time staying at wherever you are." And I'm like, "Excuse me? What?" And so I had to I lived with a girlfriend for like 9 months, and we're still very good friends. because we didn't let conflicts or disagreements affect our friendship. We talked it out, saw both sides. You know, that's the adult way to do it. And then I got my own place and was basically living off the little bit of money he decided that he would give me. And I had then find a job, and I had been bartending, and my fibromyalgia was really bad at the time, so I couldn't do that. And I was doing temp jobs and whatever I could to survive. And really had to take part-time jobs and survive on a part-time job and food stamps just to finally find a full-time job. And that was 7 years after we separated. So it's a journey, and it's not easy. But if you have someone to hold your hand and say, I've been there, let's do this and see where you want to go, because I had nobody to do that for me. I had to do it for myself. Then it's an easier, the path is a little easier because you have someone in your corner supporting you.
Right. And I was saying before, I think it's very important when you do the programs with the young ladies also, encourage them, as you know, correctly say, that to have a saving, something saved for themselves, separate from whatever the boyfriend or the spouse or whatever. Have something separate for themselves.
Even if it's a secret savings account that they don't know about in a different bank, make sure you have your own money.
Yes, I encourage people. I got that good advice from my grandmother. She's deceased, but she always said that, you know, make sure you have something put aside for yourself.
Yes.
You know, you never can tell. So this is the last question. What advice would you give to someone starting out in empowerment coaching, particularly in the area of domestic violence advocacy and mental health support? What advice could you give?
It's got to come from the heart. You can take trainings, you can learn everything, but if it doesn't come from the heart and you really understand what these women are going through, don't do it. Because they're not going to come to you. They're going to say, oh, you're fake, you're not authentic. It's really got to come from the heart and be authentic so that they understand that you really do care. You really have been there.
You walked in the shoes, you walk in their shoes already, so you understand.
If you notice, I have purple hair. And I do this in October because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And while it is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and everything is pink, and domestic violence really doesn't get talked about because nobody wants to talk about it.
Yes, elephant in the room.
Yeah, right. And so I do this with a volunteer group that I'm on the state board, and I did this to raise money for our survivors scholarship fund. But I do it so that people look at me. If they look at me funny, I'll tell them, this is for domestic violence awareness. Thank you for checking out my hair. And that's it, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
Colored hair these days is the norm almost, because you never know what color hair somebody's going to have. But I only do it once a year, and otherwise it's red.
Okay, but it looks beautiful on you. It looks nice on you. Yes. So here we are. So we're wrapping up now. So would you mind giving our listeners, if they want to contact you, if they want to find out more about the course that you'll be giving, can you give them some contact information for you?
Unfortunately, I don't have a website yet, but you can contact my email anytime. It's Living Freely is the name of the business and it's a W, and then my name, Amy, AMEE, all together. And that's at gmail.com. And you can ask questions. You can, I'll do stuff online, so it does not matter where you live. And contact me and we'll talk.
Okay,
So,
sounds like a plan.
all right.
So there we are, folks. Yes, so don't wait for change to happen. Be the change. The path to personal empowerment starts with one decision. So make that decision. So
Yeah.
this is your host, Lorna Lewis, and we say thank you to Amy for the knowledge, all on those nuggets, the golden nuggets of knowledge that she gave us today. All right. Thank you so much, Amy.
You're welcome. I had a great time.